Okay, there's been this over-adulation when it comes to the topic of Dreamworks lately. Dreamworks is now taken like the epitome of animation, and there are some people who think that this over-adulation is because of Puss in Boots 2, and this ungodly standing of a company might be purely based on a talking cat. Now, this in a sense is kind of true. By the early parts of this year, you could not go anywhere on the internet without seeing somebody talking about it. But is it actually the reason why Dreamworks is being highly talked about? No, it isn't. Puss in Boots 2 only epitomizes what Dreamworks have been doing over the years. And in the past year, it's not like other animation companies have tried to do anything different. Disney has clearly given up on being creative or unique with their characters and their storyline. Like, what was the abomination that is Strange World? And although, to me, Pixar's 2 movies I did enjoy watching, none of them actually took into account how valuable it is to have multi-layered and multifaceted characters that didn't just occupy screen times and make blatantly useless jokes, but characters who specifically serve a purpose to link integral parts of the story. All this Puss in Boots does to absolute perfection. So there is no surprise why Puss in Boots 2 has epitomized DreamWorks' greatness. Now, with the release of this new teenage kraken movie that is about to come out, I don't think DreamWorks will find it hard to replicate the same success that Puss in Boots had with this movie. And when I say replicate, I don't mean in marketing or in the story of the movie, but I mean in integral parts that make DreamWorks movies so good. By the way, we are in the wonderful part of the video where I tell you to subscribe and like. Thank you very much if you choose to do so. DreamWorks have built up a certain culture to the kind of movies they put out. Movies that don't actually scream 10 years or younger, but movies that take on themes that are intriguing. I mean, I love Pixar and I don't like the fact that most YouTubers like to make berating videos about them, but Pixar movies have started to kind of look the same, you know, overly emotional, overly somehow deep. That's why Elementals, in all of its beauty, you still see certain YouTubers that try to predict how one note it's going to be. DreamWorks have found a way to make their movies balance out each theme it's trying to explore. If it's a fighting panda, don't just give us a fighting panda. Give us creative villains that tone out the stupidity of the main character. If it's an ugly green machine, you know, don't just give us the cliche, there's beauty on the inside bullcrap. Give us intriguing dialogue, memorably annoying characters, and villains with chin that could probably break steel. DreamWorks movies scream multi-layered. There's one particular theme that the people at DreamWorks have gotten spot on, and that is the theme of character development or character growth. DreamWorks have almost always implemented the character growth theme in their movies. This theme is the reason why most DreamWorks movies don't come off too childish, because it's not just a story. The characters has to go through an obstacle and depend on the side characters to grow and overcome such obstacles. Like take Shrek for example. As much as the beauty on the inside theme is pretty great, it still needs an edge. Shrek needed to understand that not everyone has to be afraid of him, that there are people that will like him or love him for who he is and not just for how he appears. Like in the movie, Shrek got used to people being afraid of him, so he played into it, but throughout the franchise he then gains people's trust by his actions. This Shrek formula has been repeated in so many DreamWorks movies after it. Not maybe perfectly, but you see glimpses of it, like with HTTYD, Megamind, and Kung Fu Panda. There is always some sort of growth in the main characters affected by the side characters or other protagonists. And also, one thing I hate with Disney movies is the concept of having empty side characters. I said this in my Pareto video. I hate side characters that are absolutely useless. This is my biggest critique when it comes to Strange World. Almost all protagonists in Strange World feel really hollow. So, you have daddy issues. Okay, how can we make these daddy issues have more of an impact to the audience? You know what? We don't. Now, this video is not meant to beat up Strange World, but the movie was something else. It did not even have a clear-cut antagonist, which is kind of what Disney are trying to do lately. And at least if you have no clear-cut antagonist, that should give more screen time to build certain characters and connections. But Strange World still found a beautiful way to fail at that. I mean, Megamind, for example, switched up the roles of 3 characters, Megamind, Titan, and Metro Man. but the movie was still cohesive and had a lot of character complexity that I could make a whole video talking about. We haven't even talked about their approach to franchises. I'm not sure there's any Dreamworks franchise that I stopped watching. Kung Fu Panda, I watched it all. HCTYD, which is the best, I watched it all. Madagascar wasn't the best in my opinion, but it's still a brilliant franchise and it definitely made money for them. By the way, HCTYD and Kung Fu Panda was literally part of my childhood, from the cartoon spin-offs to each movies to the merchandise. I mean, HCTYD and Kung Fu Panda taught me so much growing up. So yes, this video is kind of biased. Dreamworks movies are just the best, and saying Puss in Boots 2 is the reason why Dreamworks are being talked about is not true. I posted a community poll a while back to understand which company best understood their audience, and while I expected the almighty Studio Ghibli to win this because I am a huge fan, Dreamworks won it. Then someone pointed out that this was due to Puss in Boots 2, which I kind of agree with. But then another person pointed out what is so unique about Dreamworks movies, that though their target audience are kids, their movies are still very, very inclusive, making sure that all ages could still sit down and love watching their movies. Dreamworks movies don't feel empty, but are aimed to make deeper connections to their audience without feeling overly emotional. I think this comment best describes Dreamworks as a whole. So, will RGTK be as good as Puss in Boots 2? I don't know. Dreamworks have always been replicating this formula to which Puss in Boots 2 was built on. And as long as they keep on replicating this formula, RGTK will probably be a good movie in my book. Okay, thank you for watching this Dreamworks stan video. Thank you for watching this Dreamworks stan video. As you can clearly figure out, I love the movies they bring out, and their movies have been a huge part of my life in a sense. But that doesn't mean that Dreamworks have gotten it right in every single movie that they brought out. But then, in my opinion, they still do enough to be above the rest, except Studio Ghibli. No one comes in contact with Studio Ghibli. That, by the way, thank you for watching this video. We passed 940 subs last week. That is amazing. Thank you very, very much. God loves you and I love you too. Bye bye.